Hey Brightsiders, I've prepared a new portion of mind-boggling riddles. And what does it mean? It's time to put on your detective hat. Let's go!
Yeah.
Jake loved making bets with his friends. This time, he bet that he could put a bottle of water in the middle of his living room and crawl into it. His friends were sure they would win. But somehow, Jake won the bet again. Can you understand how he did it? Well, Jake said he would put a bottle of water in the middle of the room and crawl into it. But he didn't specify if he would crawl into the bottle or into the room. So he simply crawled into the room and won the bet. Now try to crack this riddle. It's nothing but holes tied to other holes. At the same time, this thing is as strong as steel, but not as stiff as a pole. What is it? It's a chain. Dylan was trapped in a basement. The only thing he found inside was a note and a pen. Find the way to get 200 out of 188 with one line, and you'll be free. 5 minutes later, the door opened automatically, and Dylan was free. What did he do? He drew a horizontal line to divide 188. This way, he got 2 ones and 4 zeros. Look at these 4 people in a grocery store. Can you figure out who is going to steal a watermelon? It's the man with a soccer ball. It seems as if he's holding something heavy. It must be the watermelon disguised as a soccer ball. Robert was a collector of unusual coins. One day, the man called the police and reported one of his rarest coins missing. He was sure the culprit was one of his brothers, Frederick or Matthew, who lived together with him. One of them collected ancient books, and the other was crazy about rare stamps. All the collections were kept in the same large room in the house. The key to the room was kept in a vase standing on the fireplace. The only other person besides the brothers who visited the house was Robert's friend Mark. When the police arrived, they found out the room had been opened with the key. The officers also didn't find any fingerprints. Do you know who stole the coin?
Uh-oh.
It was Mark. He was the only person who had a reason for getting rid of the fingerprints. The brothers' fingerprints would be absolutely natural since they live there. Now you have to think outside the box to crack this one.
Yeah.
1 is to 3 as 3 is to 5, and 5 is to 4. And 4 is the magic number. Can you figure out the pattern? The word 1 has 3 letters, the word 3 has 5, and the word 5 consists of 4 letters, but the word 4 has only 4 letters in it. And whatever number you try, eventually you'll come back to 4, and the game will end there. Look at this picture. Can you figure out which mermaid is his wife? Have you spotted a tattoo on the man's neck? It's the letter L. See? And now the mermaid on the right also has a tattoo. It's the letter J. They most likely depicted the first letters of each other's names, so they must be husband and wife. The next picture for you. Which girls are sisters? These two mermaids are sisters. Have you noticed that they have identical moles on their faces? Wow, a race on seahorses? That's something new. But can you figure out which mer person is cheating? One of the guys has a robotic seahorse. See that USB port on its neck? And now look at these young people playing beach volleyball. Can you figure out who's not human? It's this girl. If you compare her with her friends, she's the only one who's not sweating and isn't red-faced because of the heat and exertion. Kimberly inherited an old house from her rich aunt. When the young woman was exploring the cellar, she came across a massive wooden door. She opened it and saw a small room with 3 bags and a note. One of the bags has $1 million and the others are empty. You can only open one bag, so think carefully. Kimberly also noticed that there was a message on each bag. The first bag claimed, "The cash is not here." The message on the second bag was, "The cash is not here." And the third bag said, "The cash is in the second bag." If only one message is true, which bag has the money? The money can't be in the second or third bags. If it was so, then 2 messages would be true. It means the money is in the first bag. This next riddle will challenge your math skills. Add this number to the same one and multiply the result by 4. Then divide it by 8. And you'll have the very first number again. What number is it? It can be any number. You can try it out to make sure. Jason took part in a game show and ended up as one of the 2 contestants to make it to the finals. He came up to the table with 3 cups on it, but only one of these drinks was safe to try. The other 2 were poisoned. And even though a mistake wouldn't cost Jason his life, the consequences would be unpleasant. The drinks were tea with sugar, cappuccino, and hot chocolate. Which one should Jason choose? If it was indeed sugar in the tea, it would have melted completely, but it didn't happen. The cappuccino looks suspiciously green. It's probably unsafe to drink. Jason opted for the hot chocolate and won the challenge. A man was in an 8-story building when a fire started. He jumped out of the window but didn't even bruise himself. How is it possible? The man jumped out of the first-floor window. I was driving along the highway when one of my car tires burst. I stopped to change it, but when I came back to the car, I saw it had a flat battery. I looked around and realized I was in the middle of a small town. I decided to wait for someone who could help me. Suddenly, I heard glass shatter. The night was very dark, so I switched on the headlights and saw a man with a large bag climbing out of a house. I immediately ran to the nearest police station to report the crime. That's what Mr. Darrison told the police. The detective who was listening to him asked, "And where did you hide everything you'd stolen from that house?" How did he come to this conclusion? If Mr. Darrison's car battery was flat, how could he switch on the headlights? Can you figure out which passengers on this bus are zombies? There are 2 zombies on the bus. This man with a bandage on his neck and 1 ear missing. And this business lady sitting near the window. She's making bizarre growling noises. How about some Rebus puzzles? Here we go.
Yeah.
What does it mean? That's how you greet people. Good afternoon. Okay, now try this one. It's progress underway. And how about this one? Ah, this one was easy. It's accelerate. It was winter when an elderly couple finished building a pretty new house. The husband was responsible for the construction, while his wife was a self-appointed decorator. The house looked beautiful. Very proud, they invited their grandchildren to have a look at their work. But within an hour, the kids managed to break several windows. They also knocked down the fence, removed the decorations, and ruined the roof. But the most bizarre thing, the grandparents didn't seem to mind. Can you figure out what happened there? The grandparents made a gingerbread house and invited their grandchildren to eat it.
That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.
Are you ready to challenge your visual memory? These puzzles will definitely make your brain sweat. Take a look at this picture and try to memorize each object. Okay, the time is up. Can you sort the extra object out? These scissors don't belong here. Let's make the task a little harder. Take your time to memorize these staplers. And now let's see if you can spot which object didn't appear in the initial picture. Option C is new. The next one, try to memorize these donuts. Great. I'm sure you remember them all by heart, and you'll have no problem sorting the odd one out. Option A doesn't belong here. Here comes the next set. Try to memorize all the details. Okay, which ice cream didn't appear in the initial picture? B. You'll need to stretch your photographic memory to the limits if you want to solve the next task. Here are 6 different burgers. Pay attention to all the details. You're going to need them later. And now let's take a look at these 9 pictures. Can you spot which of these burgers didn't appear in the initial picture? Ready to see the answer? B, D, and E. The next one. Try to memorize all 6 rings. Good. Can you sort the 3 extra rings out? Options A, C, and F don't belong here. Take a look at this picture and try to memorize each parrot. The time is up. Can you spot the parrots that were not present in the original picture? B, E, and F. And now let's go ahead and study the following images. Great job. I'm sure you remember every flower. Let's see if you can find them among these 20 flowers. 1, 7, 9, 15, 16, and 19. The next task is the same. Do your best to memorize all 6 mugs. Okay, can you spot them among this variety? Ready to see the correct answer? Here they are. How about a task change? Study these 6 objects very carefully. Ready? And now let's hide them and try to remember where this object was. Over here. Was it too easy? Let's complicate the puzzle a little. You have a few seconds to memorize these 10 objects. Great. Can you recall where this image was? It was here. And what if we increase the number of objects to 12? Ready to try? Can you spot this object's location? There it is. Here's the next group of objects. Try to memorize them all. And now let's hide them and swap their places. Can you restore the original sequence in which the objects were placed? Ready to see the answer? There you go. Ready to try again? Here's a group of objects. You know what to do. Let's see if you can restore the original sequence this time. Here's the correct order. Can you handle 8 objects? Let's check. Here's the initial sequence. Take your time to memorize it. All right. Let's rearrange the images. Can you bring them back to order? This is what the original sequence looked like. Anna arrives at an empty parking lot. Can you guess the number of the place where her car is parked? To make the task easier, we should turn the picture upside down. And now it's obvious that the correct answer is 87. Miranda is a very rich woman. She lives in a fancy circular mansion with diamond chandeliers in every room. She also has a diamond table, a movie theater room, a spa room, and a huge garage with 5 antique cars. But today Miranda is very upset. She has just found out that one of her cars is missing. She asks the butler, but he says he was making her bed. Miranda questions the maid and she says, "I was dusting corners." And the chef says, "I didn't touch your car. I was making breakfast." Who's lying? The maid. Miranda lives in a circular house, remember? So the maid couldn't be dusting corners. I can be cracked. I can be made. I can be told. I can be played. What am I? I'm a joke. Toby and Bobby decide to prank their English teacher. They succeed, but the teacher wants revenge. He detains them and takes the students to the basement. "Teacher, you'll stay here until you solve my riddle. Make one word from the following letters." Toby and Bobby spend 7 hours there, and finally, they solve the riddle. And the teacher lets them go. How did they do that? The answer is literally one word. Rose is riding a bike. Suddenly, someone throws a cup of strawberry milkshake in her face. She loses her balance and falls. Rose looks around, finds 3 suspects, and interrogates them. But each person swears to have nothing to do with the prank. Bianca says, "I was just doing my daily workout. I'm on a sugar-free diet, so I would never have bought this disgusting milkshake." Nick says, "I was reading a book and enjoying my own milkshake, but I like chocolate, not strawberry." And Lauren says, "I was just walking my dog and I didn't look at the road." Who's lying? Lauren, take a look at her bright purple lipstick. There's a similar mark on the cup that was thrown at Rose. Zelda finds a recipe in her granny's old cookbook, but unfortunately the last ingredient is encoded. Here's a hint to crack it. "Although I may have eyes, I cannot see. I have a round face with lots of acne. What am I?" Any idea what it might be? It's a potato. 4 criminals are planning to rob a bank. They agree to only take the gold bars. They return home and decide to divide the bar among themselves. Can you find a way to separate this shape into 4 equal parts? Here's the easiest way. Liam gets a spooky invitation to a Halloween party. He comes along and sees something creepy right away. All the guests are vampires except one. Can you spot a human? Take a closer look at the lady in a witchy costume. She's the only one who has round pupils like a normal human being. Someone stole the most expensive painting from the local art gallery. The police arrive at the crime scene and pull some fingerprints. They identify 3 different people. 2 of them are trusted employees of the gallery, but the 3rd fingerprint belongs to an unknown person who might be the robber. The detective suspects 4 criminals specializing in art thefts. He finds their fingerprints in his database and compares them with the ones from the crime scene. The detective identifies the robber right away. What about you? Can you guess who stole the painting? These fingerprints belong to the gallery employees. So here's the robber. Cherry and Sam spend their honeymoon at a fancy resort. Can you spot any mistakes in this place? The pool is frozen. Bob is having dinner and watching TV after work as usual. But can you spot anything odd in this picture? The mirror reflects a different TV program. There are 3 different yachts to choose from. Which one should Jake pick? The 2nd yacht has no lifeboats or jackets. It's dangerous to sail like that. As for the 3rd boat, there's a tied-up man on board. And this sailor is a ghost, so only the 1st yacht seems safe and reliable. Kendra, Stacy, and Monica are besties, but in fact one of them is a bad friend. Can you guess who? Monica. She left an ice cream stain on her friend's coat on purpose. Ryan wants to surprise his wife. He calls the local flower shop and orders a huge bouquet of daisies. An hour later, someone knocks on Ryan's door. He looks through the peephole first and says, "Oh wow, a fake delivery guy has arrived." How did he know? The delivery guy didn't know that Ryan had ordered daisies, and he brought roses instead. The next puzzle will test your visual memory. We're going to show you a couple of images. Try to memorize them as best you can. All right, time is up. And now let's see if you can find the mug that you saw at the beginning. B. What about the ice cream? A. And finally, can you spot the original cat? Option D is correct. Here's the next set of images. You know what to do. Are you ready to spot the butterfly? Option C is correct. What about the gnome? D. Can you find the initial candle? B. And what about the comb? It's over here. And now try to memorize these images. Let's check if you can find the glove that you saw at the beginning. Option D is correct. What about the phone? It's over here. Can you find the original pencil? A. And what about the broccoli? It's over here. Can you spot the shoe? B. Nina's brother decides to prank her and changes a 6-letter password on her laptop. He leaves a little clue in Nina's room so that she could crack the code. Can you help her? To solve this riddle, we should take a look at the calendar on the wall. The marked dates imply a number sequence, 6, 12, 15, 24, 5, and 18. But the password should contain 6 letters, not numbers. We need to find the corresponding letter in the alphabet. 6 for F, 12 for L, 15 for O, and so on. And the final password is flower. Alex is going to the Moroccan desert. Alex decides to go explore the local market. He wanders around and a stranger approaches him. Stranger: "Hey, mister, would you like to buy these ancient statues? I found them in a tomb. They're thousands of years old." Alex gets very interested. He loves history. He takes a closer look at the statues and gets mad. Alex: "Your statues are fake." How did he know? The first statue is holding a phone. The second has the hieroglyph of a bicycle. The third statue also can't be that old. Back then, no one knew what the Earth looked like. And the fourth statue is wearing sneakers. Busted. Robert is a professional thief. He knows that Mrs. Gold is hiding a diamond necklace in her safe. But now he fails to crack the required 8-number code. What about you? Let's take a closer look at the paintings. See these dominoes? It's a clue. They form the code 3, 2, 1, 5, 6, 1, 2, 4. Stephen is building a new house for his family. He's visiting the construction site to check how the builders are doing. Stephen finds out that someone has broken an expensive antique mirror. Only 3 people had access to the house. Stephen questions all of them. The supervisor says, "I was feeling sick yesterday, so I went home earlier to get some rest." The interior designer says, "Yesterday the mirror was fine. I arrived here in the evening to take some pictures for my design project. See for yourself if you don't believe me." And the mover says, "I wasn't here yesterday. I spent the entire day at the construction supermarket. So I don't know who did it." Who's lying? The designer. There's a selfie among the pictures that she took yesterday. Take a look at her glasses. They reflect the opposite wall in the broken mirror. Busted.
That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.
They say seeing is believing, but is it really so? Optical illusions have a mind-boggling way to trick our brains. They use a combination of colors, light, or particular patterns that can make us see things that aren't there. Today, we're taking our brains for a test drive to see how these illusions work. If you look at this image attentively, you'll notice a moving square that appears to be changing tones. What shades do you see? Dark, then light, then dark again? Wrong. The square doesn't change color at all. The creator of this illusion is a Japanese psychologist and artist, Akiyoshi Kitaoka. According to him, you can see your own brain changing its guess about the color of the square. Color is already an illusion created by our brains. It happens so that the color is created inside our visual systems. What our eyes perceive as blue is actually a wavelength that is reflected as that color. Neuroscientists say that about 50% of our brain is involved in the vision process. visual signals are dispersed to more than 30 areas of our brain. Each area has a special function to process color, motion, depth, and form. All this information is combined, and voila! We can distinguish shape and color. Funnily enough, neuroscientists still don't understand the details of how all this happens, and neither do we, but we sure give it a try. Moving on, let's take a look at this staircase. It looks pretty simple, right? Well, now let's flip the image upside down. It still looks like a staircase, but instead of going from right to left, it looks like it's going from left to right. But don't blink. If you blink, the illusion will disappear and you will be left with the original image. Whoa, I think my brain just got really tired. This illusion is known as Schroeder's staircase, and it was invented by a German scientist, Heinrich Schroeder, back in 1858. It's really simple, yet it reveals a fundamental mechanism of how our brain works. Let's understand why. If you sorta disassemble the staircase, you'll notice that the image is flat. What our brain perceives as a 3D image is just a combination of shadow and light. This means that the 3D itself is already an optical illusion. This happens because our brain captures images and tries to fit them into what it already knows. So it sees a shadow in a 2D image and it understands depth. Basically, it creates an unreal perspective of the object in front of our eyes. In this case, we call it a three-dimensional perspective. In 2020, Japanese mathematician Kokichi Sugihara took this illusion one step further. Let's take a look. At first glance, it looks just like a regular staircase. Again. But now, let's place an object at the top of the staircase and flip it at a 100-degree angle. I can't believe my eyes with this one. The object that appeared to be on top suddenly looks like it's at the bottom of the staircase. No wonder this work won Best Illusion of 2020. According to Sugihara, with this illusion, we are literally witnessing the way our brain tricks us into perceiving unreal things. At the heart of the illusion is a simple trick. The stairs aren't really stairs. They continue to be a flat 2D surface, making clever use of angles and shading to trick our brains. The 2D image was printed and glued into a basic 3D structure, but there is no real depth in the stairs, just the illusion of it. Got it? Look at this image for a moment and tell me how many bars you can count. This illusion has left the internet baffled. People have counted as many as 11 bars, but most count about 7 to 8 bars. According to the creator of this image, there are only 6 complete bars. Try counting from top to bottom and you'll notice that the upper bars are real. But by the time you get to the 6th bar, things start to get blurry and confusing. That's because the last 2 bars are incomplete, so when you try to count them, they appear to multiply and only leave you more confused. If you trace your pointer down the 7th and 8th bar, you'll be able to see that they are incomplete. They were only put there to confuse you. Can you tell if the dark blue lines are parallel to each other or whether they're inclined? They sure look crooked, but in reality, they're not. This classical optical illusion was first described over 100 years ago, but it wasn't until the 1970s that it got its current name. The cafe wall illusion. A guy named Steve Simpson noticed a similar effect on the wall of a cafe in Bristol, and here we are. Now, let's see how this works. First, let's blur the image a little bit. Oh, a little bit more. There you go. This way, you'll be able to see that the dark blue lines are parallel to each other. If you look closely, the little black and white bricks at the intersection of wide lines are what made this illusion possible. In addition to that, the curved elements inside the blue lines help to make the elusive effect even stronger. We'll understand why in a little bit. Up next, look at this black square, crisscrossed with perpendicular white lines. If you look attentively, you'll notice that the white dots situated at the intersection of the grid shift their color from white to gray and black. When you concentrate on a particular dot, you'll see that it's white, but as soon as your attention wanders, the dot turns gray. That's the Hermann grid illusion. Amazing, isn't it? We can take this illusion one step further by positioning white dots at the intersection of gray lines. All of them are placed on top of the black background. If you look at this image for long enough, you'll notice black dots starting to pop up at the intersections of the grid, creating a scintillating effect. Another name for this illusion is a simultaneous light contrast illusion, as you perceive the dots as white at one moment and then, almost immediately, you see them as black. So, why do our senses let us down by making us see gray or black instead of white? This illusion demonstrates one of the most important principles of human perception. You don't always see things for what they really are. The retinal cells in our eyes act as light receptors. When only one cell receptor gets illuminated, it perceives more light than when its colleagues are also illuminated. This prevents the firing of nearby receptors. With the Hermann grid illusion, the white lines are arranged in such a way that there's more light around the intersections than along the lines themselves. Thus, the dots at the intersections are more inhibited, and you see darker spots. This next illusion is called the Pac-Man chaser. You'll see why. Stare at the central cross for 5 seconds. The image appears to be in motion, doesn't it? And you might also see a green disc appear in between the lilac spheres from time to time. Now, this image allows us to witness 2 illusions simultaneously. Even though the image appears to be in continuous motion, nothing here is moving. We promise. This phenomenon is known as the phi phenomenon. It happens when stationary objects are placed side by side and illuminated rapidly, one after the other, creating an illusion of movement. Now look at the center of the image again. Can you see the green disc? This illusion is called an afterimage, and this happens when your brain tries to substitute an item with something else as the original item disappears. But why is it green, you might ask? That's because green is lilac's complementary color. If we were to change the color of the disc to blue, then the color of the gap changes to yellow, which is blue's complementary color. Neat, right?
That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.